Who in here, like when they're driving, they'll put their map or they'll plug it in on Google Maps or on Apple Maps where you're going to try to get to your destination? Raise your hand if that's you. Okay, raise your hand if you ever just like whip out like a physical hard copy map to get where you're going. Nobody. Alan, of course, we got some old people in the back. But here's the thing. On the way home from camp, Alan, you may remember this. On the way home from camp, I'm driving my truck, I'm driving the trailer, and I had absolutely, he knows exactly where I'm going. I had absolutely no signal, right? No signal at all. And I was really struggling trying to get into my phone. I'm like, where do I turn? Where do I turn? Where do I turn? I have no idea where I'm going. I'm in Goodlettsville. I've never been here before in my life. I don't know where I'm going. And all of a sudden, I push the address one more time in Google Maps, and then all of a sudden it pops up and it's like, turn left right now. And I'm going 55 miles an hour down a 30-mile-an-hour road. That's a 2-lane road, and I'm pulling a trailer that's loaded with camp luggage, and I had 2 choices. I said, I either whip this thing. Who thought I should have whipped that thing? Wow, you all want me to wreck? I would have whipped that thing. The trailer would have tumbled, and I would have went flipping. You know what I'm talking about? Because I had no idea where I'm going. How do I know I made the wrong turn? Because I turned left, and I'm still going, and I see Alan turn right, and he's just cruising along because Alan had a map, and I did not. And there's going to be times in your life where you're going to find yourself with no signal on this thing. Did you hear me? There's going to be times in your life where you have no signal on this thing, and someone's going to come walking up to you, and they're going to say, hey, Mason, what's the gospel? And what you're going to do is you're going to reach down for that crutch you've been carrying. You're going to say, give me a moment. And you're going to try to pull up the Bible app. And you're going to say, it's not loading, it's not loading, it's not loading. And then, Mason, you're going to look right back at them. You're going to say, well, for me, the gospel is, and you're going to give them something that ain't the gospel. You're going to give them your preference. Do you hear me? But if you got a map, you see, when my dad, when we used to go on vacations, he would pull out a map, but he would never do it driving because these were not small maps, were they, Miss Christie? When you went on a road trip, you got a map that was like 4 feet wide, 2 feet tall, and if you were to try to drive, it would take up the whole dash, and you could not drive and look at a map at the same time. So you know what that meant you had to do? You had to memorize the map. You had to know where you're going. That's why my dad, when he jumps in the car, the first thing he does is not plug the directions in on his phone because he knows where he's going because he's driven this path before. You see where I'm going? He's walked the road before, and he's doing it out of memory, out of instinct, out of intuition. Whereas me, I'm very directionally challenged. Does anyone relate? Who else is directionally challenged in this place? You see, like me and Anna just moved to a new house like a month and a half ago, and literally you turn right out of the church and you go straight and you're there. And for like the first week and a half, I continued to have to put in my address into Google Maps because I had no idea how to get there, and I refused to actually learn the directions of where I was going. And what I believe is I'm looking at a generation that if you were cut off from this thing and you found yourself in a remote area with no signal, right? And if you were asked to give a defense for the gospel, what would happen is you would give them something that ain't the gospel because you haven't studied the map. You don't know where you're going. You haven't mapped out your life. And what happens is when you don't have a map for your life, you're not able to mark up the world. You see, Jesus tells us to bear our marks, to show the world, to testify of the goodness of God. But we can't do that without a map. We can't do it without a Bible. And this Bible does no good sitting on your bookshelf. This Bible does no good sitting in your backpack. This Bible has no good sitting beside you while you're scrolling. Even if you're scrolling sermons. YouTube theology is not going to save you. Instagram and TikTok theology is not going to save you. But one word, what was that song? If one word is the only word you speak, then I've heard it all. One single verse in that Bible can save your word, save your name, save your life.